Let's admit it. We love Paul Revere because he's America's first action hero. A lone patriot at full gallop in the dead of the night. Maybe the only time in history anyone made one of those three-pointed hats look cool. But one forgotten fact about Revere's ride blows me away. It was actually a rerun. 2 days earlier, he'd already ridden the same route, warning that the King's men would be on the march. The only detail he couldn't pass along was when, because he didn't know yet. When he found out 48 hours later, that's when he rode into history. In Boston and throughout America, the story of Paul Revere is a national favorite. But is it true? Here's the play-by-play of the version we've all learned. By April 18th, 1775, tensions between the colonies and Britain have reached critical mass. War's about to break out and Boston's crawling with redcoats. American patriot Paul Revere learns of a British plan to seize Concord, a town outside Boston where the rebels have a stash of arms and ammunition. But Revere's way ahead of them. He rows a boat across the Charles River, right past a British warship. On the opposite shore, he gets a secret signal from the steeple of Boston's Old North Church. You know how it goes. 1 if by land and 2 if by sea, telling Revere which route Brits will take. Revere then tears across the countryside on his trusty steed, yelling at the top of his lungs, "The British are coming! The British are coming!" He successfully reaches Concord and alerts the rebels guarding the arms and ammo. Mission accomplished. Thanks to Revere, America isn't caught napping at the outset of the war that will win our independence. This familiar tale may swell our hearts with patriotic pride, but it's full of falsehoods loopier than John Hancock's signature. Let's start with the biggest one. Paul Revere as a solo action hero, riding alone through the night.
This idea of him riding alone, the dead of night, sounding the alarm, raising the troops, is the most enduring feature of this myth that we've really bought into as Americans.
In fact, this was a very carefully planned, complex operation involving many, many other individuals besides Paul Revere.
Revere isn't even the mastermind behind the Patriots' game plan. That honor goes to a Boston physician named Joseph Warren.
Joseph Warren is really the leading figure in this drama. Warren knows that something is up, that the British troops are going to be moving out, probably to Concord. He calls in Revere. He also calls in William Dawes.
That's right. A second rider, William Dawes, shattering the image of Revere as a one-man warning system.
And the idea is that Revere will go to Charlestown. He will actually have to row across the harbor to Charlestown, and from there carry the word out to Lexington and Concord. Dawes is going to go by way of Boston Neck, the land route. And Warren wants both of them to go because there's a good chance one or the other is going to be captured at some point.
On their way to Concord, the two have to hit nearby Lexington to alert 2 rebel bigwigs, Sam Adams and John Hancock. But backup from Dawes isn't the only help Revere gets this night. His mission almost ends before it begins, in the small rowboat on the banks of the Charles River. He needs to make a silent getaway. But the oars creak so loudly in the metal oarlocks, sailors aboard the nearby British ship are bound to hear the racket. He has to find a way to muffle the noise, and fast. Seeing a woman in a window above, he makes an unusual request. In the name of the rebel cause, she agrees, hikes up her skirt, and sends her flannel petticoat floating down to him. The men rip it up and wrap the fabric around the oars. Problem solved. So Revere makes it safely across the river, thanks to 3 allies and 1 petticoat, all left out of the version of the story we all know. So, Revere makes it across the Charles River and waits for the famous lantern signal from the Old North Church. 1 if by land, 2 if by sea. Right? Nope. The truth is exactly the opposite. The signal wasn't to Revere, but from him.
Paul Revere's not waiting for the signal. Which way are they going? Because he knows they are going.
It was Revere who directed the sexton of the church to put the signals up there to let the people know across the river in Charleston the British were on the move.
It turns out it was 2 lanterns. The British would be coming by sea, crossing the mouth of the Charles River in boats.